How's everyone going? You're back with Jono for another quick math lesson. Today we're going to be introduced to the topic of equations. Okay, it's very similar to algebraic expressions. We're seeing some of the same kind of terms and things that look really similar, but equations are asking us to solve something. We have to come up with an answer that proves that the mathematical sentence given at the start is correct. So the easiest way to think about it is that equations has basically the word equal in it. That start bit of equations means that we've got two things that are the same as each other. So an equation's always going to have an equal sign in the middle, saying that the left-hand side of this sentence is the same as the right-hand side. When we were doing algebraic expressions in the last topic, we were looking at simplifying two terms but not having to solve anything. They didn't have an equal sign in it. So what we've got to do to make sure we get these equations right is we've got to take those skills from algebra and apply one more thing in order to come up with a final answer. So we're still dealing with unknowns. Remember that algebra is the maths of the unknown, and so we're still using that, but this time we're going to come to an answer that we can say, hey, this is what it is. So our job for all of these equations is we've got to find the code that tells us that this mathematical sentence is correct. So really, when you read it off the page, we're trying to get the letter to equal one number, right? We've got to have one unknown and we want that to equal one thing, and that's going to make the whole mathematical sentence correct. We're going to have a look at examples because I think it's easier to see it in action. We've got a couple of skills that we do need to know, and they're just going to be written on the side. So this first one, we've got x plus 4 equals 10. And the first skill that we need to know is what we are doing. What is the goal? So the goal here is to find some number for x that makes this correct. We need something plus 4 to equal 10. Okay? And the goal off the page is to just get that letter by itself equal to one thing. So all we've got to do to solve these mathematical equations is do the opposite operation to the numbers that are around the letter. So for this one, if you know that the opposite of plus is minus, you're going to find equations really easy. So what we've got to do is on this first side, we've got x plus 4. I've got to get rid of that 4. So then I've got my letter by itself. So the way that to get rid of plus 4 is to minus 4. So if I had x plus 4 minus 4, I would have x plus 0, and I don't have to write a 0, so I would just have x by itself. So if I do that on one side, okay, I have to do it on the other side as well. And this is because we've said that the equal sign means that these two are exactly the same. These two sides are exactly the same. If I'm minus 4 from one side, well then the levels aren't the same anymore. So I've got to do whatever I do to one side, the equal sign is telling me you have to keep it the same and do the same operation on both sides. So this becomes here x. The two 4's cancel each other out, so now my x is by itself. And all I've got to do is 10 minus 4, which is equal to 6. We can go back and check if that's the correct answer. So remember this, 6 is now what I've said x is. So if I went 6 plus 4, yep, that equals 10. So I know that I've got it right. We're going to do these next couple of examples a bit quicker, but these same skills are going to happen. So for this next one, we've got b minus 3 equals 2. So something minus 3 equals 2. All we need to do to work it out and show our working is the opposite operation underneath. So instead of minus 3 there, if I plus 3 to this side, that's going to get b by itself. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. So I'm going to plus 3 as well. So that leaves me with b is equal to 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Happy days. We can check that again. 5 minus 3 equals 2. These ones look a little bit harder, but it's the exact same. We know from algebraic techniques that when you've got a number right next to a letter, it's multiplication. If we know what the opposite of multiplication is, we're going to be fine. So for this one, the opposite of multiplication is divide. So I'm going to divide this side by 7. 7 divided by 7 is going to cancel out, so there's nothing left on that side. And I've got to do the same thing to the other side. That leaves me with t, because these two things have cancelled, is equal to 21 divided by 7 is equal to 3. 7 times 3 is equal to 21, so we know we got it right. Finally, last one, f divided by 6 is equal to 4. The opposite of divided by is times 6. So this means that we're going to get rid of that division, and we've got to do it to both sides. So we times both sides by 6, leaving us with f is equal to 24. We can check that. 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4, so we know we got it right. So I just have a couple of pro tips to make sure that the working is exactly correct, so your teachers will know that you deserve all the marks possible. So the first thing that I always do, you might have seen there, is I always use a different color underneath in small writing, so I can see exactly what operation I'm doing on both sides. It just helps me scaffold my work, and I know that I've got enough space underneath to do it correctly. It also saves you a little bit of time because you won't have to rewrite the equation out straight away. But if you just do the small opposite operation directly underneath where you're doing it, you're going to find it really hard to make a mistake. So for example, for this one here, I've done my plus 3 minus 3 in the same like little column, so I know they're getting rid of each other. And over here, I've got to do 2 plus 3, and I know that the answer had to be 5. So that setting up does make it a lot easier for you. You're gonna have to do less thinking because it's just, oh, I've got to read what I've already done. The other thing is that with these equations, some of those you would have seen straight away. Like, yeah, I know how to do that, full marks. But I really recommend writing out all your working, okay? If you get the wrong answer and you've done no working, you get 0 marks. If your working out is correct, teachers will help you out. We're there to give you marks for these kind of questions. So just show us what you're doing. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you later.